I'm a 40-year-old male, a widower, and a father of 2 boys, nearly adult and a younger teen. My wife died 7 years ago. My sister's 39 and has a teen gay son. She's a single mother. The father was never involved. My nephew spends a few hours each day at my house and only goes home to sleep because my sister's not the nicest person. CPS never did anything. There was no immediate threat. He's waiting to turn 18 to move out, and I already told him a room in my house would be available for him. My sister and most of my family are now angry because at his birthday party, this happened. We had cake at my sister's apartment, and she said to her son, "Stop sitting like that, sit like a man." He had his legs crossed, LOL. So he uncrossed his legs and said nothing. Later, my sister made a toast with so many embarrassing stories it made my stomach turn. How he cried when his friend, boyfriend at the time, got seriously ill. How he's a bit on the faulty side because he never had a father. How he threw a tantrum when she told him which girl he should date, a friend's daughter or something, etc. At the end of this toast, the kid was downright swallowing tears. Finally, I had enough and told my sister she was being awful to him and should at least pretend to respect her son. She told me to mind my own business and not to tell her what kind of atrocities she needed to allow in her home. My nephew just started crying then, so I took my spare key out of my wallet. The whole family was watching because my sister was yelling, and gave it to my nephew. I told him I'd clean up the empty room and make it his bedroom, and he could come whenever he needed for however long he needed. She got furious and started yelling. I got up to leave with my kids, and my nephew just followed us. As we were leaving, my sister yelled that she'd come to get her son back. I told her I'd file a motion to grant me temporary custody due to child endangerment. My family's angry, as is my sister. Not the idiot. I'm glad your nephew has you in his corner. If you can legally get him in your custody, that would be even better. The mother does not deserve her title. I just wished other family members would do the same as you. The way the birth giver embarrassed her son is just wicked. That would cause trauma to the kid. I hope he stays with you so he can live his life with no hesitations. The fact he spends most of his time at your house already tells a lot. The fact your sister thought a toast was the place to make your nephew uncomfortable, upset, and embarrassed means even more. You are right that she should have more respect for him than she demonstrated. It doesn't matter what your sister or the other family thinks. Your nephew followed you out. I don't know what country you're in, but maybe also talk to the local police to give them a heads up in case your sister decides to be petty about it. Your nephew could explain the situation to them with you to support him. Where I am, he would be legally allowed to live out of the home, and the police, if knowing the situation, would back his right to stay somewhere safe. Not the idiot. And bless you. Make sure you get all the proof of wrongdoing you can to improve the chances in court. I hope you're able to shelter him. You are the only one looking out for the poor kid. Also, remember to keep your own sons in the loop so they feel included and heard. They're old enough to have a say in how the household functions and will probably appreciate being treated like adults. Me, female 22, and this guy, 27, Paul, have been going out on a few dates for 2 months. We met on Tinder. We like each other but haven't officially started dating yet, so I don't call him boyfriends and vice versa. We're still getting to know each other and things we love versus hate. So for the past couple of weeks, he's been sending me pics of his car sitting in the mechanics, his cousin's shop for weeks. He went on and on about what needed fixing, made a long list, calculated the total, and then sent it to me as a screenshot. I looked at it, wondering what it had to do with me. He told me about his financial hardship at the moment and asked if I could help pay for his car to get it fixed quickly so he'll be able to take me on that road trip he promised. I felt uncomfortable because the money he was talking about was around $2,500, and I don't have that kind of money on my hand. So he brought up my college fund and suggested I skip 1 semester so I could pay for the car. I was shocked he brought that up. I don't know. He knows how important college is for me, but he assured me he'd pay me back on time and that I only have to skip 1 semester and that's it. I asked for time to think about it, but after he kept calling, I decided to give a polite no. He asked why, And I told him it's because my education is my priority and I can't handle skipping a semester, even if it's one. He hung up, saying he needed time, then texted me, saying that I did not show support after he made himself open and vulnerable, that I chose money over him by refusing to lend it to him, and that he's struggling and in need, and that didn't matter to me. I felt guilty and I started calling him, but he texted me, saying that he might respond when I made room for a compromise. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay? Edit. He had me talk to his cousin about the car. I also visited his place and met his parents, so it's not like I don't know his address. Not the idiot. This guy's pulling every trick in the book to manipulate you into giving him money. Giving, not loaning, because you'll never see a dime back. Get away. Someone you aren't even officially in a relationship with yet wants you to give them $2,500 and skip a semester of college to do it? He's either grooming you for abuse or has zero sense of boundaries. Run, do not walk away from this deadbeat. And the Red Flag of the Week award goes to this guy. He's love scamming you. You should not just don't give him the money. You also shouldn't give him any further attention. If he can pay it back in time, he can do so to his cousin. You're not choosing money above love. He does, and now he's blackmailing you. Go no contact now, if he's not doing so because he didn't get the money. Love scamming is the first thing that came to my mind too. It sounds like the start of the Tinder swindler, which I'd suggest OP watch if she hasn't already. The cousin part bothers me too. Why isn't the line of credit extended there? Because the cousin knows that OP's dude is unreliable. Also, the cousin might be in on the scam, which this clearly is. My thoughts exactly. None of this lines up and he's preying upon her. She needs to block him and move on. He is 100% using you for money, and you will not get it back. Dump him and go to college. The fact that he dares to say you aren't supportive and won't talk to you until you compromise is mind-boggling. Holy moly. I have 3 kids, a teen girl, a boy 19, and a boy 24. I raised them to be fit and healthy, but sadly, my 19-year-old son gained a lot of weight after leaving secondary school with bad grades and struggled to keep a job. He's not hugely overweight, but it's upsetting to me as I was always careful with their food and taught them to make healthy choices. I bought my 24-year-old son a car for his 20th birthday, and I promised to do the same for the 19-year-old, but only if he could lose weight and keep a job. He claimed these conditions were unfair because the 24-year-old didn't have to do anything for the car, but he kept himself fit and moved out of my house at 18, so he was not a financial drain on me at the time. So he accepted the conditions in the end. I added a weight loss requirement for the car just for extra motivation for him. He's 5'11" and 210 pounds. I know he's not morbidly obese, but it's awful seeing him gain all this weight when he used to be so skinny. He hates his appearance and wants a girlfriend, but he's not confident. Maybe this is not politically correct these days, but I believe in body positivity, and I think if you're overweight, you need to lose the weight as soon as possible. I'm worried he will develop a food addiction and get even bigger. The car will make him walk less and make fast food even more accessible, and that is the last thing he needs. Anyway, this was 6 months ago, and his birthday's next month. The attempts to lose the weight don't last long, and I think he's down 10 pounds at the most. However, he has managed to get and keep a job for the last 3 months, which is great, but it's still not very long, and he's still lazy, playing video games and overeating. I told him last night I wasn't going to get him the car for his birthday, but he could maybe have the car in another 6 months if he put serious effort into fixing his weight problem and being more healthy and managed to keep the job. He was very upset with me and locked himself in his room. He feels that the 24-year-old is the favorite and he's treated unfairly. This is not true, but unfortunately, 24-year-old has one problem, and I've had to bail him out of situations and send him to rehab twice. This is very expensive, but rehab was a life or death thing. The car isn't. He said I think being on sugar is fine, but being fat isn't. But that isn't true at all. I care about their health, and being fat will cause serious health problems in the future too. Am I the idiot here? I feel bad for upsetting him, But at this moment, I think a car would do more harm than good. He hasn't stuck to the conditions we agreed to and improved his unhealthy lifestyle. Edit. I've asked him about therapy, but he's not interested. You are the idiot. Stop hating on your kid for being overweight. A car is a privilege, sure, and no kid should expect that as a gift. But even outside of holding the car over his head, you're an idiot for treating your son like he's worth less than his sibling because of his weight. I think it's you who needs to shape up. He lost 10 pounds and has been keeping a job for the last 3 months. As a result, he's met your requirements. You are the idiot on so many levels. I don't even want to go into it because it's so much. I hope you get him his car and he drives far away from you. And he will if you keep this up. So you managed to push one of your sons into an eating disorder and destroy his self-esteem. Congrats on great parenting. And your son is 100% right in his assessment that you're okay with your other son being an addict, as long as he's not fat. Because having a fat kid is so shameful for you. I hope your son gets a place of his own soon and goes no contact with you. His mental health will be so much better without you fat shaming him constantly. I hope OP knows this now. All your children will run away from you one day. I can guarantee that. The oldest will start with low contact first and eventually go. Do you think people with addiction are physically and mentally healthy? People with addiction are in pain, and I bet one of his pains is something you created. My husband, 33, has a habit of making excuses to get out of work, simply for just not feeling like working on certain days. This has affected us financially because his boss kept lowering his salary, so I had to get a second job. He's now bought a PS5 from his teen cousin and started playing with it day and night while missing work and lying to his boss about why he does it. This time it's because he had an upset stomach, that time because of fever, etc. Honestly, I got fed up with him ruining his job and costing us money. I told him he needed to knock this off, but he told me to stay out of it and focus on my jobs. Days ago, he was asleep after staying up all night playing video games. He's decided to skip work, even though his boss gave him the last warning. His boss called at 8 a.m., and I picked up the phone. He asked where my husband was and whether he was coming to work. I said no, because he was up all night playing video games and decided he wasn't going the next day. His boss ended the call with me, and then I went to work. 2 hours later, I got a call from my husband, panicking, saying he found a text from his boss saying he was fired, and asked what I told him to get his boss to do that. I said I told him the truth, but he blew up at me saying he was cooking up an excuse to get his now former boss off his back and give him the day off, but I went and screwed it all up. I told him he couldn't blame me after the problem he set and the lack of commitment he's shown to his former boss. He yelled, saying I did this to get back at him and mess with his livelihood. He hung up, but the nasty texts kept coming. I came home and he's gone entirely silent, while occasionally venting about how I ruined his job for him when I could have lied and told his former boss whatever excuses instead. Not the idiot. You didn't cause him to get fired. His lack of commitment and responsibility did. He has no accountability for blaming you for this inevitable outcome. Honestly, I think you need to divorce him pronto. Yeah, this would be divorce territory for me also. There are many reasons I'd get a second job to support my husband, but supplementing the income he's losing due to playing video games too much is not one of them, LOL. Even if this dude stopped playing them at all right now, it would take a lot of work on his part to repair the damage to the relationship for me. What a selfish man. I would never feel the same about someone if they did this. It's supposed to be a relationship, not a moochership. He's way too emotionally immature to be married. I think he only got married because he wanted someone to care for him and mommy him. He has zero clue what a partnership means or is supposed to look like. He even bought a PS5 from a teen cousin. That kid is probably more mature than OP's husband. A 33-year-old adult who doesn't go to work. Video games can be fun and addicting, but to risk your job for it is an entirely different level of dumb. Now how long will it take for him to get a new job? If you don't have children, now would be the time to reconsider this marriage and have a stern conversation. But this conversation should have been done when he was a teenager from his parents. His blaming you for his mess up is such a joke. I'm a 30-year-old male. I married my ex-wife at 21 because she was pregnant. We had been dating for 3 years before that. We had our baby boy and eventually realized this marriage wasn't working. When our son was 2 years old, we got a divorce. I moved out and rented an apartment close to where we lived. We love co-parenting. Our son spends a week at each apartment, but we just live 2 blocks apart, and he can visit us anytime he wants, wherever he's staying. He's a tween now, and we both think we did the right thing by separating and raising him together. I'm getting married this fall, and my fiancé moved in with me a few months ago. My son loves her, she loves him, and they get along great. She just has a problem with me still being close with my ex-wife. My birthday is next weekend, and like every year, I invited a bunch of friends with their kids, my ex-wife, and our son. I do it every year. When I told my fiancé who was coming, she got furious, yelled at me, and said I was an idiot for including my ex-wife in everything I ever do. She said this would have to change when we get married. I told her I would always consider my ex-wife my friend, and I'll always love her as my son's mother. My fiancé left really upset and later texted me that I'm an idiot for choosing my ex over her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If your fiancé cannot understand the importance of you continuing to have a friendly relationship with the mother of your child, then this is probably not a good relationship for either of you. If your fiancé cannot trust you to be faithful, then the relationship will never work. This dynamic will only get worse if you have children with your fiancé. She will see her children differently and not want your son's mom there. She might even exclude your son from her family events. She's showing you that she wants a nuclear family only. She knew what she was walking into and hoped she could change it. She was sorely mistaken. This is a fantastic attitude you and your ex have towards each other, and how wonderful for your son. Don't think of it as choosing your ex over her. You're literally picking your son. That's what this is, a healthy friendship so your son has a stable upbringing. Talk to your fiancé and ask her why she's so insecure. Also, why would anything change after marriage? That statement would worry me. What else is she planning on changing after marriage that she hasn't warned you about? You are the idiot. Are there events that your ex isn't a part of? Does your fiancé feel like she must include your ex in every set of plans she wants to make with you? Does your new relationship have autonomy from the friendship with your ex? Also, how is your fiancé's relationship with your family? Do they prefer your ex over her? Do you often postpone doing things with your fiancé to spend time with your son and ex? You might be the one not ready for the relationship. However, your current relationship does not need to feel like she's the third wheel between you and your ex.